Wow, we're so excited to have Danielle Duplin on today. And if I were to categorize Danielle, besides being a dear and wonderful friend and family member, I would call her definitely a serial entrepreneur. So, welcome to the show. And
Thank
so
you,
excited.
Paul. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
And thanks for being such a fabulous friend.
Oh, thank you. All right, so let's dive into it. We're not gonna have enough time to go over the Danielle Duplin story because it is so vast, it is convoluted, there's ups, downs, and sideways. But let's dive right in. So I noticed that you were in Vegas just recently. Could you give us a little synopsis of what the heck you're doing now and why in Vegas? And then you just said you're in Spain. What's going on at the young age that you have?
Well, thank you. Right. So Vegas is high stimulation.
As we know.
Vegas is high energy. Vegas attracts like the big thinkers and the big doers. So I was at the Consumer Electronic Trade Show, CES, which is the largest technology trade show in the world, about 125,000 innovators and techies from all over the world, the biggest vendors, the earliest startup entrepreneurs. Everybody arrives to showcase their latest, greatest innovation and emerging tech. So I was there to promote innovation for aging that we call age tech. So it's kind of a new-ish category. It's a bit of an intersection of lots of different categories.
Yeah.
Because it's all about technology that helps you live longer and age better.
Oh, we need that longevity,
We
right?
all need that.
So one of my patches on my martial arts program, I don't know if you know it, but it has the symbol in it, and it symbolizes longevity for long life.
Love
So
that.
I'm very curious to hear more about this. So this tech, what did you call it? It's
Like age tech? CES.
The whole umbrella.
Oh, the whole umbrella. The whole category is age tech innovation.
Okay.
So, and it covers everything from activities of daily living, like what does it take for us to get up every day and be in a safe environment, a safe home that takes, as I say, we can love our homes and grow old in our homes, but will our homes love us back, right? So do you have all the technology that you need for fall detection, let's say, or the smart beds or the smart furniture, right, that can detect whether your health biometrics. We have technology that helps you walk, that helps you get around with mobility. We have like robotic wheelchairs and lifts that help get you out of bed and get you safely to the bathroom. So there's technology that helps within the home, smart lights, smart locks. You've imagined, let's say there's a fall in the bathroom, there's a fall detection technology that would know that you fell in the bathroom, connected to your lights and your front door, so automatically turn the lights on, unlock the front door, alert the authorities, alert your care team, so that people can come in and provide safety. Because unfortunately for falls, a lot of people will fall and maybe be on the ground for minutes, hours, maybe days. And so there's certain I do want to back up for a bit, but
please. This is amazing.
I know, right? So there's certain kind of flashpoints, if you will, when we think about our aging journey. The first time where you realize you can no longer drive your car, right? So there's so much psychology that happens in that moment. There's practicality things that happen in that moment. There's a reliance on other people that happens in that moment. There's a kind of a shrinking of your world that happens in that moment. So we look at these kind of flashpoints. I call them decline triggers, where there's something that happens either physically, cognitively, or environmentally that sort of says to you, you're kind of at the next stage and you're going to need some help.
Got it.
And if you give into it, then your world could get smaller, and then you might stop doing the things you love to do, or being with the people you love to be with, or getting out and about. And the more that happens and accumulates, maybe it happens silently, you're not realizing that you're slowly kind of quote unquote giving up or giving in. And so what I'm focused on is innovation for human flourishing.
Got it. So the point of the whole thing is to assist across multiple platforms, because you're talking about technology, then you're talking about psychology, and then you're moments ago, we were talking about housing and affordability and all that different thing. So at this tech conference, it was a giant tech conference, and your segment is focused on the age tech section.
So, so I started this work. Well, I've been doing this work my whole career because I
Yes, you
started
have.
as an engineer and then as an executive for innovation in financial services.
Got it.
And so you think it's all about, how does your money make more money? Indeed, but the view is kind of almost a higher level of impact is how do we invest for the long term so that our money, we don't outlive our money, right? Because you need to have financial stability so that you have choices later in life. And so we got into the psychology of investing in your future self. And what does that mean? If you have $1, do you take that dollar and spend it right now? Do you invest it for your kids, like education and so forth? Or do you invest a portion of it for your future self? So there's a lot that goes into it. And then there's all the adjacent activities that are more dreadful, like elder fraud. Who wants to take that dollar away from you? And, with everything that's going on right now with AI and deep fakes, I mean, older adults are being robbed at it's
'Cause they're vulnerable,
excruciating.
right?
Oh, they're so vulnerable. And so, I'm deep into technology that helps with, preservation of wealth and trying to protect against elder fraud.
So what about, you mentioned AI. So it sounds like you get these tech gurus from all around the world,
Yeah.
major institutions, major businesses, people that are on the forefront.
Yeah.
This AI thing keeps on resonating with everybody.
Yeah.
Now, obviously,
Yeah.
you're going to say what?
Yeah, so AI, well, like any technology,
Yep.
any technology humans have ever invented, that it all depends on the use case, right? So technology could be used for good, it could be used for evil, it could be used for inventing new things, it could be used for destruction. So we got to keep our eye on the prize here. And so AI, in the context of good for older adults, we see it showing up in so many different ways.
Like what?
Okay, so let's talk about diagnostics. So we
Yep.
see a lot of age tech that helps with early diagnostics of the onset of chronic disease or the progression of disease. So you can have AI that helps, for instance, we have smart toilets, like that can detect. I know, for real, right? Like that can detect early on if you have the onset of a UTI, let's say, or other conditions that, if they were to persist, would create much more health impacts later on. So if you can detect early, great. AI for breast cancer diagnostics, like they could read, AI can read like thousands of breast x-rays in an hour with precision and accuracy. So that's a good thing. It's not about AI replacing jobs. It's about helping people do those jobs better, faster, cheaper, and with more accuracy. And I've been in technology my whole entire life.
Right.
And every time you invent something new, it just opens up new pathways for more things to happen. Like
Right.
it's just like the human ingenuity will continue forever and always.
Right.
God
so
willing.
How do we
Right.
police that? I mean, it sounds, you're absolutely right. And we were just speaking, about operations and robotics and all different things like that. How do you police it though? Because now the flip side of this, I mean, obviously it sounds amazing and it is amazing.
Yeah.
And then you have young kids or you have those in their formative years dealing with this type of technology. And it also, even though you mentioned that it's not replacing jobs, it's making it better, a lot of the data out there is showing that certain jobs will be displaced, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's no doubt about it that any kind of technology innovation is disruptive. I mean, and
That's
not
a good word.
Right, it's completely disruptive. And if it happens too quickly for culture to catch up, I mean, it's devastating. There's no doubt about it. I mean, trains and cars replace blacksmiths and horses. Like it just is going to happen, right? So
They'll be flying around. Nobody will be in them.
yeah,
right?
I mean, it's so, and it's not to say like, oh shucks. No, it's like we do need job retraining, and we do need social structures and political structures that do protect people. That doesn't mean they get to be the same job for the rest of their life.
Got it.
I mean, if that's the case, I would be a bricklayer. My great-great-grandfather was a bricklayer for the Brooklyn Bridge, but my father was a pioneer.
I didn't know that.
His grandson was a pioneer in computers, right? In the same household. Now, we don't, you can't stand still, okay?
All right. So,
But
go ahead.
but that said, If AI is being used in educational settings to replace critical thinking, that's bad.
That's a problem.
That's the problem. If AI is being used in place of doing the work and developing the mindset, developing, your cognitive abilities, that's bad. So you want to reframe the way teaching happens, let's say, right? So it's like not like, can you regurgitate something that's been taught to you, like been memorizing and so forth. It's like, how do you take information and help people with critical thinking, problem solving that they can do on their own with the help of AI, not AI doing it for you.
Got it. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a few moments ago about this way of thinking, and I'm really curious because even though we've known each other for so long on a personal level, what made you deviate, I guess, from what I call the cookie cutter mentality of, you go to high school, you go to college, you pick your major, you get out of school, you get your job, and you stay in that job. I was in mine for 32 years until I kind of figured out, like, oh, all right, this is, I
And
gotta
God bless
get out
you,
of the
because that was a
box,
tough
right?
job, yeah.
You get your pension, and
Yeah.
then you go on your merry way. So, like, what was it to Danielle? What was that switch? We'll call that the black belt switch that, like, what was it for you that said, wait a minute?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I love work. So I love my
I
work.
know.
And I think that's where it starts.
Okay.
So if you love what you do and you're relentlessly curious about it and you're constantly looking for the context in which you get to do your best work, that's always been my journey.
Tell us more about that.
So when I first graduated, I had a computer science degree,
Go ahead.
right? So I got a job programming, and I was programming in the Department of Defense for B-1 bombers and F-11 like aircraft. I'm like, I love the programming. Not sure about the context. I'm not sure that Department of Defense is going to be my long-term journey, but man, there's super smart people doing really fascinating
doing great
things, right? And then you kind of reached, or at least for me, I reached sort of my limit, not limit, but I reached sort of like the end of what I was going to learn in that world.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, okay, where can I learn next? And I had an opportunity to move to Boston to then work on technology that was coming out of a lab at MIT and was going to commercialize it. So I thought, oh, that's kind of fascinating. How do you take the base technology and turn it into a business? So that's where I spent a lot of my time. And then I was in a big financial services company for what then was the next 26 years. But the job was never the same.
It was evolving.
Because we're always evolving, always building, always learning, always creating the next thing. Like, getting the company up on the World Wide Web. I was part of that team that helped launch us on the web when that came along. And then the last decade of my time there, I was one of the charter founding members of the Center for Applied Technology, which is all about contrarian thinking, where the whole company was moving in one direction on a roadmap. It was my job and my colleagues to look over the horizon, see what technology was emerging, bring it in, do prototypes, de-risk it for the company so that when that technology matured, we were ready. We were ready with competitive advantage. We were ready culturally. We were ready training-wise. We could put new products out to the market faster than anybody else. And so for me, it was like endlessly entertaining and learning and so forth. And so, but then I hit my crossover date, what I call it. I'd been
Crossover
there,
what?
My crossover date. Which I had been at the company longer than I hadn't been at the company. Over half my life.
So, that's a good way of putting it.
Right? I was in, I guess, my 50s. I don't even do the math, but like that. And my kids had been launched. They off to college. They were launched.
Yeah.
I had the whole and I was like, and I picked my head up and I'm like, I've been doing this work at the company scale for so long. Loved it. The company grew globally. I said, so my next gig, I want to be at the city scale. I want to get out and see how this manifests in the city. So I was on the board of leading cities, and I produced innovation festivals for the city of Boston, and I did a lot of work for smart cities. And then I was like, okay, this is awesome. Spent a lot of time helping build the innovation ecosystem in Boston. Said, I really actually want to be at the world scale. I want impact at the world scale.
Another level.
Right? And so what are the biggest problems we as humanity need to solve for? And how can I take my whole life experience and apply it to that? And that's when I realized that it was a lot about the aging journey. How do we live well longer? And so that's the work I've been doing.
That's such an amazing, journey, for lack of a better word. You mentioned your dad, your grandfather or great-grandfather being the mason, your dad being the computer guy. So everything that you've been, do you think your dad was the one that kind of shaped this tech world for you?
So
Where did this, everything is technology that you're talking about. So.
Yeah. But it's interesting because the other part of my passion has been theater. I was a dancer.
Yes.
So, I mean, I actually majored in math, computer science, and dance. Of course, my parents were
think
like,
that those two
my
would
parents
go
were
together,
like,
right?
And you're going to do what with both of those things? And I'm like, how
don't
do I
know.
know? Well, most of my whole career, I've been producing corporate technology theater. So innovation, programming, TED Talks. I just came back from Vegas producing live programming every hour on the hour for 4 straight days, like 30 separate innovation events, bringing in thought leaders, talking about, how they're applying technology to solve amazing problems, elevating startup founders, essentially giving a stage
Giving them
and a voice and a platform for people to talk about the work that they're doing to inform, inspire, and influence other people.
Amazing.
To take that idea or inspire their own ideas and go forth and go make amazing things happen.
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing. So I kind of credit it to both my parents because, yes, my dad quizzed me on binary code strings at the dinner table. I mean, that was kind of how we used to hang out. But my mom was like party girl. Every single day we had dinner parties with somebody. And then on Wednesday afternoons, she would sneak me out of school and take me to Broadway matinees.
Wow.
So it was kind of a both and. And so I was
Good
in the
balance, right?
Yeah, the balance. And so I think that's really the message for everybody is find what you are relentlessly curious about. No matter how many times you get after it, you still want to learn more, do more. You see where that could be applied in different ways. And combine it with what makes you you. And that combination, for me, it was computer science and theater. I mean, that's just what I brought to the table, right? You bring different things to the table. The work that you did in your professional career, you see what happens if people don't make good choices in their life.
Yep.
And you devote your life to this discipline of mind and actions, right, to lead you in the right direction.
Yeah, we both always say, right, you can go to that, that part of the road and you go one way, X happens, you go the other way, opportunities happen, right? And we've all talked about that. So where, though, this is the curiosity that I really have, and I really, I'm so interested in talking to people like you. Where does this passion, ambition, drive, where does it come from? Where does it start? Where does it continue?
Yeah.
Where does that happen?
So for me, it's about curiosity and learning.
But from a young age?
From day one.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think, God, where does it come from?
Where does it happen?
Yeah.
Some people will say, that I've asked the question to, well, my parents did this or someone in my life did that. And I don't know, I saw this. I don't know. Was there any catalyst or is it just?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of just an optimism junkie. I'm just chasing that. I think doing things that make you feel good, make you feel whole, make you feel like
you're making a huge
learning
impact.
And that's, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You are. I mean, it's amazing. I follow you all on social media and I see what you're doing, and we'll get to what your husband and children are doing, and it kind of follows the same pattern, to be honest with you. So, I don't know. How about mentorship? Do you think that was there anybody? Do you believe in mentoring? Do you? Because I'm a huge advocate from people from all walks of life. It could be, doesn't have to be in the field you're in. It could just be a trusted friend. Who knows?
Yeah.
What do you think
absolutely.
about that?
I think that experience is the best teacher.
Yep.
So you have to go through it. And I do believe that having Sherpas at each time and context and the new thing that you're learning, it's very important to learn from other people's experience, to be informed by it, and to have people in your corner that can help you kind of see yourself with the third eye in a way, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because to me, it's about going through it, learning from it, trying to apply the lessons the next time around. And I think that you need different types of coaches and mentors in your life. Sometimes it's the actual task you're trying to do. So it might be, the coach that helps you if you want to be an athlete, like the swing, the hit,
Right.
this, right? Okay. But then there's going to be coaches that help with your mental game,
Mindset, right?
your mindset,
Huge.
right? And then there might be coaches that help you with the more spiritual aspects, the vision, the aspiration, the how you're living your life, and you can be informed and inspired by anybody who's doing
Great
huge things in their like have to go against had to resist the power structure or had to overcome huge obstacles, right? They could be your mentor and coach, but I do think that you need a kind of a constellation, if you will, a portfolio
Yeah,
of different mentors
multifaceted.
to
Yeah,
help.
good portfolio is
know?
a good thing. So it's not just one individual group of people. That's cool.
And I also think that the opposite is true, that if there are toxic people in your life, you gotta let them go.
How do we teach these young people? Because I see it more and more today with having, kids in those 20 years, just, age group, just like you do. And it's like, you look to them and you look to other people and it's like,
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah, well, as they say, comparison is the thief of joy. And here we are in a world where you pick up your phone and you can see other people like with tens of thousands of images and so forth and follows and so forth. And you're comparing yourself to tens of thousands of other people's journey. And our brains were just not evolved for that. I had this thing years and years ago. I was a Girl Scout mom. And I had 6 of the Girl Scouts in the car. We're on our way for a camping weekend.
Yep.
And big thing, no technology. They were like 14 years old or something at the time.
No technology.
Right? And so we go to a rest stop. And I noticed that there was all these payphone banks, but there was no more phone. There was just like the holders. So we took a really funny picture of them standing there pretending to be, I'm like, hold a phone. They didn't know how to hold like an old fashioned phone. It was pretty funny. We get back in the car. I said, all right, girls, how many contacts do you have in each of your phones? Like, because this is back in the early Facebook days. And we added up between the 6 of them, it must have been like, I don't know, a couple thousand. I said, so if anything happens in this car right now, just the 6 of us, and you decide to share that story, within a second, like 10,000 people are going to know about what happened. So when I grew up, it was 10 kids on the street. That was about it.
What did we do? I'm thinking now, I'm like,
Your
parents would say, go out and play, see you at dinner time. And like, no.
No, right? And so like that instantaneous at scale where secrets are out, people's lives can be shattered. You can see what other people are doing and you can like be jealous or envious or how come I wasn't at that party or how come they're camping and I'm not camping? All the things like the narrative you tell yourself. Like, so I think that we all need to develop kind of our own media diet, our media strategy of what you want to consume versus what you want to produce. I have some friends that say, I won't consume anything until I produce something first.
I won't consume unless I produce something
So
first.
let's say, you can sit there and you want to, I just want to be on, I'm going to look at all these recipes and cooking and all that, which I love to do.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say, but first I want to make sure that I actually cook something. Let me just make something myself.
Before you start scrolling on
And
recipes.
then start scrolling. You're just going to like produce before you consume. Like, because if you just constantly trick your dopamine cycles, you could sit there all day and scroll through and be a passive observer of other people's lives for the rest of your life
And what about
and
these
never
young
realize it.
So now, like, you and I were like, phone booths. Like, yeah, cool. Do I have I think it was a nickel, then it was a dime, then it was a quarter, then it was something else. And you're talking about shells of phone booths, and the kids are like, and then you got rotary phones, and then they don't know what we're talking about. But like, you're right, instant gratification, how many followers, how many clicks, how many likes. But again, technology, you're in it, and from a small business owner and person that's trying to make a difference in what I do, you gotta be out there.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
If you're not,
And that's the
we're
thing.
done.
Exactly. And technology, it's all about how we use it. So like, I know that some societies and governments are shutting down social media and phones throughout the school day. And, in some ways, that's so important for social development, because I remember observing my kids, like kind of high school dance. And back in the day when it was kind of an awkward moment, I'm going to ask you to dance. I don't know if I should ask her to dance, whatever. I mean, you kind of work through it. That's how you develop the social skills. It's just a proving ground, right? Now it's like, oh, I'm embarrassed. Let me just get on my phone and go over here.
That's your coping mechanism, right?
And so it's a coping mechanism. So we're not building that strength, to go out into the world. And so that to me is where it hinders growth. That said, I mean, it's phenomenal the amount of people that we're connected to, and that you can make an impact in a split second, and it's super important. So, I mean, I'm kind of on both sides of the same coin.
And again,
like
it's
pro con, it's yin yang.
Yeah, yang.
It's all how it's being used, and how you use it to your advantage.
Right. So I think with the young, in martial arts, we deal with a lot of young kids, right? And we deal with kids with a lot of issues, right? And there seems to be, for whatever reason, whether it be with COVID, whether it just be it's happening now, but there's kids that are struggling in a lot of different areas, from learning and, different physical challenges and emotional challenges, and, on all scales of the autism trajectory, ADHD, ADD, kids with all kinds of maladies. But then you add this social media type of thing, and it just gets scary for me a little bit, because like you said, these kids today are not equipped, I think, with the ability to say, wait a minute, my identity's, I don't have it physically and emotionally. Let me try to get it over there. So I think, like you said, it's a balance, and we got to learn how to. It's empowering these kids to make the correct choices, right?
It's devastating. I mean, in my business with aging
societies, you see it in the same way.
I mean, loneliness, senior loneliness, it actually, first of all, just like emotionally, it's very sad to me. But health-wise, it is, it's the equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day on your health, to be lonely. In terms of the cognitive decline, the health decline, and so forth. In Japan, they just released 76,000 people died alone, and weren't
in Japan,
and like alone, and were not like found. It's like that's like, so loneliness is very real, and it has very significant social and health impacts. We can measure it for older adults. The next highest group of lonely people are the teenagers.
Yeah. So you got the two bookends.
Yeah. So learning how to be, first of all, happy with yourself is a skill, like any other skill that you have to work hard at, that you have to have grace, that you have to try things, you have to be willing to take risks, you have to put yourself in situations and places and do things that again, appeal to you. And you feel validated, affirmed, and joy. Making friends.
Yeah.
Making friends is a skill. And it's something that you have to put yourself out there. You have to feel vulnerable. You have to give and be generous and so forth, and have healthy boundaries, right? So, and putting yourself in places where you can make friends. And if you're with a group of friends, as I mentioned earlier, that are kind of like not in your best interest, it's time to shed and find different friends. So it's really hard. And I'm saying this not because it's easy for me. It's not easy for anybody.
No.
And so, but building community and being in community is life. It's life affirming. And so we all have to get better at it. There's this trend now, they call them granny hobbies. Which
granny
is like
hobbies?
Granny hobbies, like knitting and sewing and, watercoloring and all the things. I took up watercoloring. So just the other day, my daughter had a gathering at her store, and one of the influencers came, and she said that she had just put this call out that said, all right, we're meeting up at a coffee shop. Everybody bring your craft, and we're just going to craft together. 40 people showed up. Just to be together doing their hobby, right? So
that sense of community is huge. Did you ever see the series The Blue Zone?
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And what we're talking about is the same thing. It's like you're using technology, but also look at that emotional side you mentioned of the areas of the world that have the largest number of centurions. And what is it? Right?
Yes.
A lot of it is that community.
Yep.
So you mentioned your daughter in her store. So let's talk about that because that's huge and that's making a difference, just like you're making a difference. Tell us about Sophia.
Yeah, so proud. So Sophia is focused on goods for conscious living. That's the tagline of her
And
store.
how old is she now?
She's 28
So you got a 28-year-old. Go ahead.
and 31. And so it's all goods for conscious living, which is non-toxic swaps for all of the products that we
Huge now,
use.
right?
Yeah, in our body, home, planet. So all the skincare, hair care, everything that, makeup and all the things, the clothing you wear, all the products you use to clean your home, your whole environment. And so she's been doing this work online, has quite a following, and decided to kind of manifest for real and opened up a store, she's just been crushing it. People are clamoring to find healthier products that not only are good for their bodies, but also support the entrepreneurs who are producing those products because they themselves are doing good in the world. So that's been going great. And she's using the store also as a community gathering space.
Right. So tell us about that because now, not to minimize products at all, because, what's inside what we eat and what we drink, you know better than anybody, what that does for us. But she's creating a culture. So tell us about, you mentioned about the watercolor thing, but tell us, so she's using the brick and mortar storefront, obviously for her business, but for much more. So what is she doing?
Yeah, it is about a culture of wellness.
Yeah.
Right. And it's places where people can share what they're doing. People can learn and become educated about what's going to work for them. It's a way for Sophia also just get the signaling of what people are looking for. That's the work that I do too with that innovation is you kind of look for the unmet needs.
Yeah, like
and
how do we
can
know? We think
entrepreneurship
we know
fill the gap?
everything, right? We think, I got
Yeah.
a passion for X, and then, half the world just says, well, we need Y.
Yeah.
That's
So if somebody
huge.
says, "Hey, I've been doing this, and what I really need is this," well, that's a great signal for the next entrepreneur to kind of build to this. you know,
Yeah.
right. So so she's creating or really catalyzing a community that is focused on wellness.
That's amazing. So what was her black belt switch? Like she went to a great high school and college and worked and then did some things with John, I know, but also did things on her own. What was it for her? Like, what was it? The wellness. How'd that happen?
Yeah. Oh, it's funny because she tells a great story where we went to like this mother-daughter weekend at Kripalu, the yoga retreat. And there was this gentleman who had been in the cosmetics industry his whole career and in retirement wanted to make something for his wife and daughters that was pure and it did all the beautiful things for the skin. So he was selling these like handmade product and we went in and for 2 straight hours, Sophia was captivated at him describing the chemistry, the production, all the things.
He made it himself, everything?
Yeah, he was making it himself. And so it just got her on this journey of like, wow, all that for a face cream. What more are we putting in our body? Like the toothpaste you're using.
No, I watch her videos all the time. I know.
It's everywhere. And so once she kind of tapped into it, she was on a journey to sort of detox our life. I mean, we're very health conscious in our family, as you know.
I know. Yeah.
I only eat, like I say, food that God put in the ground. Like
We've been
Whole
friends
Foods.
for a long time. I know.
We eat very, very, very well. And so it just got her on this journey. So she started documenting it online just to share it with some friends who also were interested.
Yeah.
And it just turned into this whole social media, content creator journey. And she's got so many followers now who are asking questions, so she's being helpful.
Yeah,
And
she's making a difference
very,
and
very,
making
very
a huge
helpful.
impact in the world.
And also when people are battling, diseases, or let's say you're on a cancer diagnosis, and you start to be super conscious about the air you're breathing, the products you're doing. I mean, even just the pillowcase that you lie your head on every night. So you start to really think.
So that was her switch. That was amazing. Just with the And like you said, 2 hours she was captivated. So that
and that
was her
goes
switch.
back to the core thesis, which is, what are you relentlessly curious about?
But was she curious about it beforehand other than...
Well, sure, because like she was on her own health journey, right?
Okay.
Having to feel better.
Okay.
She was having some things,
Yeah.
not for me to
So
talk
that-
about, but she,
No.
she wanted to just be on her
better
own
path.
health journey.
Yeah.
And so when you are committed and dedicated to like learning, and that's the thing, you got to be in a growth mindset. I mean, one of the clubs that I founded that I love is the Founders Over 55 Club. So we're talking about entrepreneurship as, yes, you come out of school and maybe you switch, you become an entrepreneur, but what about like in retirement? Like maybe you don't really want to retire.
I love it. So what is it called?
I call it the Founders Over 55 Club.
I'm sorry. Yep.
Founders Over 55 Club. So I picked the number 55 for a very important reason.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you before about the age tech. Like,
Yeah.
what's the age of the tech? What do you have to be?
Right around 55 years old is when corporate kind of starts to hand out the packages. Okay.
Time for you to go.
Time for you to go. And you get a nice package, hopefully. And for some people, it shows up like amazing. Now I have a better runway to do something different. For other people, it's absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
You're at the highest of your, you got kids in college and mortgages and all the things. And it's a complete shock to your identity, a complete shock to your worldview. So in either case, doing something that you love to do and make money at it needs to be an option, right? Because you can't always rely on it. And it's also very, very difficult to go and get another job because we live in an ageist society. So I wanted to encourage more people to consider entrepreneurship. Well, it really grew during pandemic. Okay. So I started at the Cambridge Innovation Center. We had 12 people around the conference table at one of these innovation nights that they have, the Venture Cafe and so forth, with a lot of younger kind of entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
and we said, well, there's just 12 of us. Maybe just hang out and just see what's different for being an entrepreneur later in life. Your financials are different. Your network is different. You have different life experience and so forth. So how do we help each other? Well, during pandemic, it grew to 800 people. We hosted a lot of events online and doing pitch fests and doing kind of educational things.
Yeah.
Right. So now it's kind of morphed into different. We do different things, but the concept is solid in that. Regardless if you're in a company, large or small, or you want to start your own, what's so important is that you stay in a growth mindset. And so if you're going to start a company later in life, it's very likely that you have to learn a whole boatload of new things. And that is so important for your cognitive health, your mental health, right, is to stay in a growth mindset.
Stay in a growth
mindset. Mm-hmm. Don't be stagnant in your thinking. You want to have open thinking. If you have closed thinking, then you're just going to stay on the path. You want to have an open growth mindset.
I love this.
Yeah.
And it reminds me, so at 55,
Yeah.
even though I thought I was a minor entrepreneur in the sense that I was working, going to law school at night and running the martial arts schools or whatever to an extent, but there's only so much you can do. At 55 is when I said, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to blow this up. I need to go do in what I really love to do. So
Yeah,
I
right
love
now,
this.
right now, you're living it, Paul.
Yes, well, I
by
love
doing this
this
podcast
concept.
and all this kind of stuff. This might not have ever been in the plan, but now you
No.
had to learn all of this, how to make this happen, right? And
I love that. So the growth mindset.
Stay in a growth mindset. The second is to stay socially connected.
Yep.
And we talked about this, right? So yes, you have your friends and family, but people move on, they move out, they move away, things happen. So absolutely invest in your friends and family, absolutely in your community. When you also invest in your business community, right, it's going to bring you to places you never would have thought possible. So staying socially connected is so important. Obviously, as you're building a business, you have channel partners, clients, collaborators, all of it, right? So you'll earn a little money, which is also incredibly important.
Yep.
Right? And for many people at this part in their life, you live your purpose.
Live with
So
purpose.
yes, you can try to create a business that's going to be the next unicorn and kill it and all that. And you've got to do the lifestyle that comes along with it, work the 60, 70 hours a week, all the things. You may or may not want to do that. but certainly you can live your purpose, and whatever that looks like for you. And it could be anything. It could be anything in the arts. It could be anything in technology. It could be anything. Like right now, you're living your purpose, Paul,
Right.
because it's training black belts, to go off and be black belts, but it's so much deeper
so
and
much
more than
more,
that.
yes.
It's now with this
Yeah,
this
and I
channel
thi-
here, you're teaching me the black belt mindset, which can serve in anything you
in
want to
any
do. Yeah.
avenue that we talk about. It's just I'm really like you just hit me with a ton of bricks with this over 55 kind of entrepreneurial thing. I think we should talk more about that. That's like
Yeah.
there's so many people in that category that we both know that are like
Right. Now, it's not without risks. So
No.
I'm not saying it's for everybody.
No.
And so, when you just look at it, you got to look at the resources that you have and what you bring to the table, and to have the mindset, because it takes a lot of tenacity, it takes disappointments and so forth. But chances are you've had a lot of that your whole life. Like you have developed some pretty good, like pretty solid, like ways of managing
Basics, we call it,
disappointments,
right?
right? Exactly. You've built resilience. You've built networks of people that you've worked with over the course of your career.
Right.
And that was one of the joys when I decided to branch out on my own. So many of the hundreds, if not thousands of people that I had worked with over the years, check them all out on LinkedIn. Everybody's off doing different things in
Different
different
things
companies.
now.
And you call each other up and you say, remember that project we worked on? Yes, we built trust. We built, trust with each other. You kind of know what each other's good at. Say, this is what I'm doing now. And people are in different contexts, and you remix it. And next thing you know, you have a new idea,
A new idea.
a new opportunity.
So I remember sitting in your living room, the room behind your, what do you call it? The porch, not the porch.
The parlor? the parlor?
Behind your living room, where a picture of John and I are in there. You have all.
Oh, yeah, the
desk.
office. I thought
The
you meant our
office,
shit-talking room, because
The
we call that our
office.
parlor.
Okay, the office, and
Yeah.
you were preparing someone to do a speech. I forget who
yeah.
it was and whatever. So you were into what were you? You were helping people make presentations.
Yeah.
So what was that part of your journey? What was that?
But so I love doing this. So I coach public speakers, anybody who wants to get up in front of a crowd, or one-on-one, or the board meeting, or pitch to VCs, or do a TED Talk to thousands, if not millions of people. So I help people make that happen. So I coach on the presentation, the content, the critical thinking that goes into it. So I love that, because that's like my theater background, like having somebody get up on stage, crush it in front of the room, and the room gets up, standing ovation, and like tears, and then the world changes.
But look at what you just said. There's the theater. So there's
It's a theater.
math and computer theater. Now look at that connection.
And by the way,
Performing.
and I approach public speaking and giving a talk very much like a computer program, actually, because it's sort of like, what's your thesis? What are your knowns? What are your unknowns? How do you make the case? How do you provide the evidence to get to the outcome that you desire? What is the actual end game? How do you make the plane fly? It's like, how do you make people get up on their feet? Right?
So you're tying.
Yeah.
So you're doing exactly what you just preached a few minutes ago. You gave some really good tidbits about community and passion and purpose and this. You're tying in all the little tidbits of your
and
life and passions and wants and desires and oomphs and whatever the heck we want to call it, and you're bringing it together in one platform.
And everybody has access to that, because everybody has the things that drive them. Like whatever you love to read or go and be part of those communities. Volunteer in those communities. Figure out
People
what
get afraid, Danielle. People are afraid to take risks. People.
Well,
and
let
I'm
me
not
tell you
speaking as a
something. Doing
negative.
nothing is a risk.
What do you think?
Doing nothing is a risk.
Doing nothing is a risk.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Doing nothing
I know.
is a risk.
There's so many people that I talk to. It's like, oh, I wish I could do that.
You can.
Oh, I'm too
You can.
old for that.
No, you're not.
Oh,
No,
right.
I will not
especially
take
you.
internal
But you'd
ageism
be
as an
shocked.
excuse.
You know better than anybody.
I will not.
Oh, if I were 20 years younger, I'd do this. And
Do it now. Do it now.
I know.
Do it now. Do it scared.
Do it now. Do it scared. I had a friend of mine say to me a few months ago, which completely resonates with me every day, because sometimes we forget age, right? And we forget about, like, we're not going to live to 125 right now. Maybe with the work that you're doing, we will shortly, but
I'm trying.
right? No, you're huge. I
Yeah.
can't. He said, Paul, we're in the fourth quarter. And I went, what? And then I start doing the math, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going, holy cow, like, there's 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
What are we afraid of now? Like, just like you said, what's the risk? The risk is doing nothing,
Well,
right?
And then, okay, if we keep with the football analogy, there's spectacular things that can happen in the last 2 minutes of the
Yes.
fourth quarter. Like entire fortunes can change, entire
Go
outcomes
Patriots,
can change.
yes.
Go
I know,
Patriots,
I
right?
know.
Right.
I
So
know.
I hopefully will never kind of adopt that mindset.
No,
because
no.
that's a closed mindset. When you have a closed mindset, everything shows up in scarcity. When you have a growth mindset, everything shows up in abundance. Okay? And so you can create that for yourself.
You think, huh?
I'm convinced. I mean, I'd love to talk to each and every one of those people that you mentioned.
Well, I bet you know some of those
because
people,
I do.
right?
No, and because it's an inquiry. It's a deep inquiry into what drives you. And not everything costs money, and not everything is like, that's why you can't compare yourself to other people. Oh, I wish I could have had the thing for the other person. No, well, you didn't have that. That wasn't your journey. It wasn't your path. So here we are. So do the things. I've had so many colleagues who left the corporate world and started doing, painting or something like this. Now, like, I have a friend of mine who has a studio. He's selling his artwork. He's like all over the world. Like, you never know where it can lead, or it might just be for your own
Mental
personal
health,
pleasure.
right?
So maybe not a single person buys your painting. You could still paint. Like,
That's
I'm
great.
doing watercolor. I expecting them to go nowhere. It doesn't matter. It brings me joy. That's the gift, right?
I watched my daughter. I was talking to her on the phone, and she and her girlfriend, I go, what are you doing? Oh, we're coloring. I'm like, what? And I'm like, there's the Crayola crayons.
Love
and
it.
They're coloring.
Yeah.
And I took a step back and I go, that is amazing, right?
Yeah.
Because in addition to what we're talking about, it's like a lot of people can't be in the present, right? And their
Yeah.
whirlwind lives. And I'm not judging anybody, but
Yeah.
everybody, we're taught like, all right, what are we going to do tomorrow? What's next week? And obviously we got a plan. We're both business people. I get
Yeah,
it. But at
yeah.
the same time, we're not in the moment a lot. People aren't in the moment and don't enjoy that coloring
Yeah.
or drawing or painting or whatever it is. And that's a huge problem issue.
That's real. I mean, look, a lot of people are dealing with a lot of stuff. There's a lot of
Yes.
trauma. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot. We're living in a lot of upheaval right now. There's
Yep.
a lot of things to be really like. There's a lot of anger.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Okay. So I'm absolutely not denying any of that. And I think what I'm suggesting is that in a world in which all of that is true, find that space for gratitude, find that space for joy, find that space for you that is life affirming for you in whatever that looks like. And there's
Right.
no judging, there's no asking permission of anyone else, whether it's good enough or not. There's none of that. It's you.
It's yours too, right?
You
can.
And that's, you owe it to yourself. And every time, it's a reinforcing loop. You do something that feels right for you. You've created something. You've helped somebody. You've learned something. You've produced something. You've achieved something. That in and of itself is courage.
And that creates
And that-
confidence.
that
and
creates the confidence.
The empowerment.
Right.
And that, kind of
And that
like.
creates a psychological safety for yourself
Yeah.
as well, right? And so that's why I say, like, do it scared, because the next time, the next time your brain encounters it, it's gonna say, "Ooh, we did this once before, and actually the worst thing didn't happen." So we
Right, what
can
do they say?
take a little step
90% of
forward.
the stuff we worry about never even happen. We worry about 90% of things that that just don't happen.
Or like if you worry, you kind of like live it twice. Like I don't know. There's a lot of great. There's a lot of great things, you know.
So
And then, and by the way, I mean I have plenty of anxiety about things and plenty of worry about
we
things.
all
but like,
do. We're all human at the end of the
that's
day, right? It's
also to get a coach, to get a mentor, to get a therapist, to have somebody help talk you through that.
resources,
Get
right?
resources, and there's no shame whatsoever.
Do you think that's changed? Because remember old days, prior days, you're like, oh, you get a therapist. Oh, you get a
yeah.
like now we call them life coaches, and we got this. And I always remember, like, oh, this famous person. Sports teams have psychologists. And
Absolutely. CEOs, executives, all these people that a lot of people admire, they are surrounded by life coaches. I mean,
So why
even
is
at
it
my
okay-
company, when we reached executive level, we got assigned a coach. And I was like, this is awesome.
So then, what
Somebody
is
to
the-
talk to.
Is it because we call him a coach? It's different, or like what is the difference? Because that has been such a stigma for so many people. Like, oh, you're weak. Oh, you need to have this
Yeah.
person or that.
Yeah, I mean, this rugged individualism is a little bit of mythology, a little bit of truth. You know, it's a little bit of everything, right? So absolutely, and I'm look, I'm not a professional at this.
No,
so
no.
if you need to get real therapy for some real things, like this is not medical advice.
Yeah.
And I think-
No. There's
and like
people
this-
that are suffering from
and
serious
that is-
mental illness. That's something a little bit different. I get it.
all the grace in the world, right? For every, like, there should be no shame in seeking help. Full stop. None of us can do any of this on our own. Nothing, right? So, like, and it's great. I mean, when you talk about the younger generation, I mean, I admire, this is what I totally admire. I admire so many things about the current generation. I love them. They will be very quite open about therapy. No problem whatsoever. I mean, I'll talk
I
to some of my
know.
younger colleagues, and they'll be like, "Okay, well, I can do. We do the meeting at 11, but then at noon, I'm going to talk to my therapist, and then at 1, we can reconvene, and do the thing with things."
It's
I'm like,
accepted.
great, good for you. That's awesome.
It's accepted.
Of course, and it's
Our
because our
generation-
mental health
I know.
is precious.
Well, it starts there, right? I mean, what the heck?
It's to be.
Everything
I
we're
mean,
ta-
like, great. Do you-
everything we're talking about.
You know, I mean, I used to do when I was mentoring the junior executives. You know, they come to my office, whatever, and there's a little, it's a little tension, it's a little awkward, or whatever.
yeah.
So, let's take a walk. So we'd walk around the seaport and walk and talk, and it just brought down a lot of kind of barriers. And first of all, you're outside, you breathe the fresh air, it's awesome. So walk and talk, and it's great. You know, so
Huge.
there's huge benefits.
All right, so let's. We don't have a heck of a lot of time, but I want to go back to this elderly, over 55. Tell us. So, where's this going for you? Like, what is going on in the world? What do you expect to be happening? I mean, you only just gave us a tidbit of these great technological advances. Like, so,
Yeah. So my word for 2026 is scale.
Okay.
I want to. So I've been working for the past couple of years helping the startup, more towards the startup community, kind of go from 0 to 1, their idea, then get that idea more refined, get it into prototype, and kind of version 1.0, if you will.
So you're helping the startups, the entrepreneurs, get to the next level.
Yeah, and get their ideas out to the people in the ecosystem who can really help to
Through these events.
grow it. Yeah, through the events, right? So, and coaching the startups and telling their stories and helping, because it takes a whole ecosystem. It's not just the buyer, it's not just the inventor and then the buyer, an older adult. There's so many stakeholders in that chain. So the older adult child who is buying on behalf of the older person, the health system that might prescribe it, the insurance company that might need to reimburse it, the policymaker that needs to make sure the regulatory requirements are met. You know, the systems
red
that
tape
kind of
on
get it through
steroids.
that, all of that, right? So there needs to be connection with all points
of
in the
those
ecosystem.
stakeholders, right?
So my beat this year is I want to work more closely with like senior living organizations and 55 plus organizations that have the trust with the community and get more products and services out into the hands of people who can use them and benefit from them.
Locally, nationally,
Doing it
worldly?
globally. And so it intersects with my other work around smart cities is to work on programming for the city of longevity, because it's not just, we can take care of ourselves and we can kind of trick out our homes, but unless and until we are in communities that support older residents. Because now it's like, are there walk paths? Are there lighted streets? Is there a thriving downtown? Is there safety? Can you get from here to there? Is the retail environment conducive to shopping? Are the roadways conducive to getting around? Are there special lanes for different types of vehicles that might not be cars? Because maybe that's not the thing. So how do we design walkable communities? And how do we design communities that feel welcoming for every age? They're real age inclusive. So it's just like, I want to see this manifested in a lot more new communities that are being built and renovated, because there's a lot of policies that go along with that as well. So I'm taking this work globally, talking with some friends in the UK, so because it's important that it's not just our own personal choices, but it's at the community and county and if not country level where we all will be able to thrive as we age.
So you just mentioned like the intersection, you mentioned smart cities. So you have technology on one hand and more environmental...
Environmental resistance is huge.
Resistance?
Environmental, like resistance or resilience, I should say.
Resilience.
Sorry, I meant to say resilience.
Who would argue about that?
No.
But I'm sure
Apologies.
there are.
Unfortunately, we are.
I'm sure there are.
We do, unfortunately, that's the thing we have to talk about. But environmental resilience is going to be the conversation that we will all be having over the next couple of decades, because if you're living in coastal communities, how do you mitigate against floods? I mean, insurance companies are completely exiting entire communities, right? So there's an entrepreneur that we were working with that could predict the risk of a flood to the house, to the address. And so it's allowing insurance companies to come back in and do kind of like right sizing.
Yeah, rather than say, this you're in a flood zone or this is there. It's just like so, where do they get that data?
Right, exactly.
I mean, there is an ocean. I get it. When's the last time there was a flood there?
And this is where AI comes in, right? So if you take all of the weather data, you take all the historical data, you take all the data, the current data about any kind of mitigation that they're doing in the roadways and the catchments and the this and the that, and that's constantly evolving and changing.
Yeah, so
did your neighbor put in did they just dig a hole and put a basement in? Well, that's going to change the flood risk in your address, right? So it's like, so they're taking all this data and predicting at the house level. So I
love that.
Right?
That's awesome.
Like just one sliver of an idea. Working with a lot of other companies that are doing for air quality, just air quality in the home, breathable
People get
air.
sick and don't know why.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. Yep. Certainly anything with cooling technology. There's so many new advances in material science and ways to cool your home that doesn't put more hot air out into the world.
So you did. So now, oh my God, this is like so expansive. So you're not only dealing with elderly, I get it, but at the same time you're dealing with the atmosphere and ozone layers and all different air quality
it's all connected, because as the Earth heats up and as communities don't prepare for that, as an older adult, really of any age, quite frankly, but it's more acute in older adults who have higher respiratory conditions.
Correct.
Different, perspiration, which then leads to dehydration and so forth. But if it's too hot, you're not going to go outside and take a walk. And if you're not going to go outside and take a walk, well, then you might not be hanging out with your friend, or you might not be enjoying nature. You're going to be
effect.
Domino effect. And it goes right back to where we started, which is loneliness. So if it's too hot to go out, you're not going to go out. And if you can't afford the air conditioner, then, in our own city, I hate to say it, there are people who are suffering in 100-degree heat inside their own homes, right? So we need more entrepreneurs, more innovators, more problem solvers, more policymakers, more research, more engineering, more critical thinking, to get out there and solve for this. Like there's entire cooling challenges worldwide that people can jump onto if they want to. Because we got to figure out I actually produced an event, Growing Older in a Warming World. And so many different kinds of people. An innovator showed up who does pest control. Pests run rampant in warmer weather. So now we are going to hire pest I mean, I could go down rabbit holes on any one of these topics.
I'm just saying,
I don't know if
these
this is what
rabbit holes are
your
really
viewers want to hear.
No, I mean,
but
it's easy to say that the robot did X, and then now you're over here talking about this. I mean, this has like amazing effects, not only helping people, but we're talking about AI getting rid of jobs and stuff. You're actually creating jobs.
They can create jobs. Well, it depends on your frame,
Right.
Right? Like, will it replace a certain routine task that's being done over and over
Like the
and over
computer,
again,
yeah.
et cetera? Sure. Will it open up avenues for more things? Absolutely, because human ingenuity will continue. And so we have so many, that's why, like, we have so many intractable issues that we can approach and tackle right now. So we need all of it. We need all the brilliant minds, and we need the creative spirits, and we need the science and the AI and all of that, right? So yes, how do you grow older in a warming world?
So where do we find the other Danielle Duplins? Because are there? I'm sure there's many great people, but you just brought up about 50, 60, 70 different ways that we as a society can help, are helping, should be helping, are visionary to help. Like, do you see other people doing what you're doing?
I want everybody to.
No, I know what you want, but like,
yeah, I mean,
are there other Danielle Duplins that are doing this? And how do you attract more people? Because, like you said, you may have the innovators, but look at what you're doing. You're a mover and a shaker. You're making this stuff happen. I mean, how many people show up at this technology thing?
Oh my gosh! So I produced
3 days,
live
4 days,
programming every hour on the hour for 4 straight days, with thought leaders from Hospital at Home, roboticists that were doing the exoskeleton ankles and automatic lifts to get people out of bed. I mean, so every hour we had a different innovator talking about ways.
And were there a lot of people
and
there?
Standing room only.
Was it
Standing
in a
room
hotel?
only. It was at the Vegas. Well, CES is at the Convention Center at the Venetian Hotel. So, yeah. No, people are like, I think people want to be inspired, right? You want to see what's possible. And the most beautiful thing that can happen is that it inspires something inside of you.
Yeah.
Of like what you have agency to do, right? So it's not like I want to share ideas, not so much that, yes, I want those ideas to like grow and spread and manifest and so forth. But it's not just like you want to have somebody talk about an idea and then force everybody to follow that idea. No, if they want to, yes, great, amazing. But like, what does it show up for you? How do you bring your superpowers, your combination of superpowers?
Psychology behind this, my psych major stuff is coming out. I love this.
Yeah.
So as we close down with this show, and I hope you'll come back because we even touched
my God, we just
surface
started.
of what you're doing. This is insanely great.
Yeah.
One question. How do we get the elderly to understand that these wonderful things are happening? Because like you said, the loneliness, as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh my God. Like,
yeah, it's devastating.
So how do you, in addition to these conferences and things that are going on, are attracting all these wonderful people and innovators, how do we get the population of 55 and over to understand, like, wait a minute, there's some alternatives now, and so much happening and going on for later. How do you do that?
Yeah, that's the work. That's the work. That's the work, right? Because there's plenty and tons, like these beautiful, beautiful founders and innovators who are creating these amazing solutions. And so I'm trying to give them more stages, more platforms, more opportunities to meet the buyers, if you will, or to meet the other stakeholders in the ecosystem that can get it into the hands of people who need them. And that could be, maybe we need to do more tech fairs or centers of innovation in different areas of
like
aging,
going into major
cases,
cities and
do
whatever.
showcases.
Right?
A lot of it, do showcases, but a lot of it too is money. A lot of this stuff costs money.
Yeah.
I mean, there's funding. Funding, is, it's really devastating when a lot of federal programs are cut
Yep.
because not all of these are business models that are kind of venture backable, if you will.
Gotcha.
Right? So they'll make a profit, but they may not make a 10x return on the money. So a lot of VCs, are investing, but many are not. And if you're doing something that is all software based, or if it involves hardware, these are different pathways. But I guess the essential question is, how do you get more people to do it? But we needed more role models, I think. Getting more people talking about what's possible and then being willing to experiment and try and get out there and then share it with their friends and their communities. Everybody can be an influencer in their community, right? And what we need are the leaders to give the leaders who are doing great work the resources that they need so they can get these ideas out to more and more people that they serve.
Awesome. You've inspired me. I love it. So any age, we got to redevelop the over 55 entrepreneurial model. Thank you so much for coming on. This was amazing. Being dear friends and family with your family. I learned a lot, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul. Well, I love being in your aura.
You are.
This black belt aura.
It's a great growth. What's the quote again? Growth what? Growth.
Stay in a growth mindset.
Stay in a growth mindset.
Yeah.
All right. Danielle Duplin, making a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Bye.